Okay, now let me do another examples. Here we have the equation 2x cubed plus 5x squared plus 8x plus 20 equals 0. Since this equation is already written in the form where one side is a polynomial and the other side is 0, so we can skip step 1. Okay, now let's do step 2. In step 2, we said we try to think how to factor this polynomial. And we said there are a couple of techniques, right? But we need to determine which technique is appropriate to use here. So the first one is a greatest common factor. To use this way, then every term of the polynomial has to have a common factor. And if you check this, 20 doesn't have an x, right? So therefore we cannot use this method. And another way is the difference of two squares. And obviously this method doesn't work here because this is not difference of two squares. And the third way is to factor a trinomial, right? Which doesn't apply to here because this is not a trinomial. Trinomial is a polynomial with 3 terms. So the only way we can use is grouping, right? There are 4 terms. So we can use grouping. We put the first 2 terms in one group, right? And the plus, and we put the other 2 terms in another group. Okay, and then next, in each group, we fact out the common factor, the greatest common factor. Between 2x cubed and 5x squared, the greatest common factor is x squared. So we are left 2x and 5. In the second group, between 8x and 20, now the common factor is a number, and that number is 4. Okay. And remember, how do we check if we are doing correct, if we are doing right? We are supposed to have the same thing in the parentheses, in the 2 parentheses, after we fact out the common factor from each group. So there is a 2x plus 5, and this is a 2x plus 5. Okay, that's right. So we can continue. So next, we fact out 2x plus 5. And here we are left x squared, and here we are left 4. Okay. So once we factor this polynomial into this way, we can do step 3. Now step 3 is to solve the equation using the zero product property. Now we have 2 factors, right? So that means 2x plus 5 equals 0, or x squared plus 4 equals 0. So one is a linear equation, another one is a quadratic equation. Now this linear equation is easy, so x equals -5/2. For this quadratic equation, you can use either quadratic formula, right? But there is a better way to use. So that way is like this, right? So we said that if the quadratic equation is written in this form, so one side is a square of some expression and the other side is a number. So we can solve this equation by taking the square root. So this expression is going to be equal to positive, negative square root of this number. Okay. So x squared plus 4 equals 0. If I write into x squared equals negative 4, and then I take the square root, I will get x equals the square root of this number negative 4, and remember it's positive negative. And then how do we continue? From complex number, we know that the square root of negative 4 we can write as I squared times 4, right? I squared equals negative 1. So this equals positive negative I times 4, right? Which equals positive negative I times 2. So x equals positive negative 2i. Okay. So the two solutions of this quadratic equation are positive negative 2i, and the solution of this linear equation is negative 5 over 2. So therefore, this polynomial equation has three solutions, and they are x equals negative 5 over 2, x equals positive 2i, and x equals negative 2i.